for the playing of Ruffles and Flourish and the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Good morning and welcome to the graduation ceremony for the Aircraft Maintenance Officer course. Today we celebrate Class 190311. I am Lieutenant Eric DeFore, your Master of Ceremonies for today's graduation. At this time we would like to thank a few special guests here with us today. Director of Logistics and Engineering, Headquarters Air Force Global Strike Command, Brigadier General Eric Froelich. Commander, 82nd Training Group, Colonel Michael Donahue. Commander, 363rd Training Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel James Olson. And the AFLOS Director, Major Michael Opig. We would also like to extend a very special AFLOS welcome to all commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, spouses, family, and friends. It's great to have you here as we recognize this class's achievements. At this time, please focus your attention towards the screens for a video on our Air Force heritage and a video on the heraldry of the maintenance badge, narrated by the late Lieutenant General Leo Marquez, one of the founding fathers of modern aircraft maintenance.
We weren't the kind to go looking for the spotlight. We didn't need our hands held. We did our jobs just fine without getting pats on the head. Of course, when something went wrong, or something got busted, yeah, that's when the spotlight found us. The Air Force never did manage to build a plane that would fix itself. We're maintainers, flight line warriors. And when it's not hot, miserable, dirty work, it's cold, miserable, dirty work. We love it. We hate it, but we love it. Because we love this country. We love making things right. We love the challenge. We love the pressure, the deadlines, the long hours. If it was easy, we wouldn't get that rush of accomplishment. We live for that rush, and we get it every day. With our hands, we make that jet fly again. We turn a bunch of metal and circuits back into a missile. We're inside these machines, in the cockpits, in the landing gear, the munitions, the engines, every button every pilot ever pushed. That's us. You think a B-52 has a lot of complicated wires? You've never seen how we're wired. We're part of a team no one on the outside will ever understand. You won't get it until you're in it, until you're one of us. That's our world inside the red line. You enter our world where we tell you. People try to tell us all the time that our jobs are just as important as the pilots. It's not a competition. If we don't do our jobs right, people get hurt. Of course our jobs are important. Do the unsung heroes need to be sung about every now and then? Maybe. But don't sing too long because with all due respect, we've got work to do. We'll roll our eyes and then we'll roll up our sleeves. We'll get it done because if we don't get it done, it doesn't get done. We know we're good. We don't want other people to know we're good. We just want them to know that we know. The satisfaction we get, we keep on the inside. We are a special breed, maintainers. We're a team, crazy loyal to our country and tirelessly devoted to our mission. We pull 12s, we work nights and weekends, we don't sleep, and we stick together. If it breaks, we fix it, no matter what. We are the men and women who keep this Air Force flying. We are the driving force. We're the glue, we're the sweat, we're the wrenches in the coffee. And if you want to know the truth, there's only one reason maintainers couldn't fix the whole world. Can't fit the whole world into a hangar. Aim high, airmen.
The design of the Falcon is a replica of the maintenance Falcon located in the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. The Falcon symbolizes the airborne strength of the Air Force and made possible by the maintenance of aircraft, munitions, and communications electronics equipment. In its talons, the Falcon is holding a bomb and a generic 21st century aircraft. They are crossed to show the interrelationship of the career field. The aircraft, streamlined to depict the 21st century aircraft, is symbolic of all the aircraft maintained by the personnel who will wear the badge into the 21st century. The aircraft has three leading edges, which represent the three main specialties: aircraft, munitions, and communications electronics. The personnel, like the leading edge of the aircraft, work together to support the flying mission. The bomb, streamlined to depict a modern munition, symbolizes the primary mission of the Air Force maintainer, to make sure they put bombs on target. The three levels of the award are signified by the addition of a star centered above the Falcon for the senior level and the star surrounded by an olive wreath for the master level. The field is without obstruction and depicts a free sky, and the olive wreath surrounding the badge symbolizes the peace which we defend through professional maintenance.
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Please welcome from Barksdale Air Force Base, the Director of Logistics and Engineering Headquarters, Air Force Global Strike Command, Brigadier General Eric Froelich.
Woo! Good morning. How's everybody doing? Great. Those videos, motivational. Wow. I have to admit, that's the first. I don't know when the maintainer one came out, but it's the first I've seen the PACE video on maintainers. Pretty impressive. I like that. Might have to show that in our retirement ceremony. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you to the staff. Good to see you again, Colonel Donahue. Colonel Olson, thank you, Major Opich. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to come back. This is my second time back speaking to AMON. Class, congratulations. It was wonderful visiting with all of you all over the last hour. Everything on this pad I talked about, so my comments are done. Y'all have a great morning. Family members. I think I'm looking in the right location. I see family members here, right? Okay. Thank you so much for attending and celebrating this milestone in these officers' careers. Your support in our Air Force is just as important. It's the foundation of their success, and they'll be the first to tell you that. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate the courtesy of ruffles and flourishes. I've been a general officer for about a year now, and I still haven't really gotten used to it. If you want to know what's going through my mind when I'm standing there, is having Colonel Donahue face me so close. I was just hoping that I'd clean my ears because I didn't want to be embarrassed with having, you know.
You did, sir.
A little humble. So I'm here today to give you words of wisdom, maybe some advice. I'm a kind of a big to little kind of person, you know. So I'll start big and then I'll work my way down from there. I do have some notes. I may refer to them. I may have to put these on to read them. Actually, Colonel Donahue was there when I was at Minot and had to start using these. It's amazing what pro supers can get away with when you can't read the status sheet at a production meeting. So I had to start using glasses when I was up there at Minot. We were there together, so I actually see the status of the aircraft. Big to little. Where do we find ourselves today as a nation? Okay, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I know you're all ready to graduate, but I do want to put it all in context. Kind of give you some insight from my foxhole as a director of logistics in our Air Force in Global Strike Command. As with every year, every day, the world changes. It's not getting any safer, and your job is just that much more important. Last time I was here, the mandate from then Secretary Mattis to focus on readiness because of the competition going on among our competitors like Russia and China. That was all the talk in the department. It still is today. You know, that readiness challenge that we have to make sure that the flag goes up. We're there to defend this nation, to work with our coalition partners to defend their nations. But we got our challenges. You know, the edge, when you get out to your units, graduates, and you get your intel briefs, you'll see that our edge is kind of whittling away. That the competitors are gaining ground on us. The fleets are a little old. They're feeling their age. Okay? Our acquisition programs, the way we modernize our fleets, just don't seem to be keeping up. And our adversaries are kind of inside of our loop of modernization. We're getting there, but it's not as fast as we need to. So what does that mean for you? You'll be maintaining some weapon systems that are in their midlife or older. The economy's pretty good, right? Everybody's got a job. It's a fight for talent. Thank God we have you. You're talented. You're choosing to serve your military. You're choosing to serve your nation. But it is a fight for talent. The reason why we have over 5,000 airmen in training here at Shepherd is because we just can't seem to keep enough airmen in our Air Force. Retention is a challenge. They're motivated by what we saw in the video. They love what they do, for the most part. But the allure of higher paying jobs on the outside, the competition for their dedication, their skills, it's a knife fight. So we're finding ourselves in a a strategic situation where we're being asked to be more ready against a increasingly more capable adversary with weapon systems that are showing their age, with a workforce that we're struggling to keep. Those are some of the challenges you'll face as leaders out there. The implications for our Air Force from those strategic insights are many. For logisticians, which you are many. It means we need to make sure that this generation of airmen understands what they support and why they serve. That's a leadership challenge for you. We need leaders that are willing to spend the extra time to tell our airmen what they're doing is vitally important to the defense of this nation and why that is. Because nowadays, when they want to know why, all they got to do is turn to this, right? Many of you are from that generation, whether you're young officers. You grew up with knowing the answers to all the questions because it's in a little black box. Okay? Maybe years gone by, if an airman said, "Why are we doing this?" the answer would be, "Because I told you to." It doesn't work anymore. And maybe that wasn't always a very good answer anyways. Everybody needs to know why they're doing what they're doing because they'll be more invested. That's one of the implications for Air Force leaders nowadays in that strategic environment. The other implication with respect to the weapon systems we have is that we need to be enterprise leaders. The enterprise, you can't do it all on your own. We talked a little bit about this in the mentoring session, right? You got to know who your network is. We need leaders that know how to form relationships, know who their success depends upon. Okay? As a young officer, much of it is going to be at your base level with your fellow officers, with other senior NCOs across other squadrons. As you gain rank, the squadron command, that enterprise broadens. Now you're dealing with your major command, or you're dealing with program officers. What's important about all this is that because maintaining those weapon systems that are kind of showing their age is getting a little bit more difficult, the industrial base that we have in this nation is not as focused on defense as it used to be. It's moved on, and in great measure, it takes a team effort. And what you need to do is you need to understand who your team is. And it's not, you can't do it all on your own. So networking, we talked about that. Understanding who your enterprise is, that's important. General Goldfein, our chief, talks about this environment and what kind of leadership skills are expected of Air Force officers today. Talks a lot about boldness, right? We need officers, especially in the logistics and maintenance environment, that take the initiative, that understand how they fit into the big picture, that are willing to suggest risk to their commander. It's smart risk, okay? But we need decisive Y'all can stay in here. I got 4 of my own. In fact, I'll hold him for a second. He'll start crying really hard. I'll get back to him. Please don't worry about it. Hopefully nothing I'm saying is y'all start crying. But you need to celebrate this as well. But we need bold leadership. Okay. The secretary that has now departed was fond of saying, "I don't want you to just think outside the box. I want you to throw away the box." We do need that innovative. But it's more than just that, because innovation is just kind of it's a buzzword. We need to know how to think differently, and then how to take those ideas and actually get them implemented. Not just come up with them and talk about it. We need problem solvers. So all these challenges that I've described, graduates, that's the kind of leader we need to address it. Okay. Those are pretty big charges for you. But what do we need of you right now? Lieutenant Murphy asked me in Parks, what were the mistakes you made? That's why the mentoring session went on so long, because I had to talk about all my mistakes. We need you to be passionate. We need to understand your mission. We need you to engage with the airmen to support that mission, create an environment of trust where they'll share with you their challenges. Because like we talked about, as a young maintainer, you don't run maintenance, you enable maintenance. Okay? And I shared maintenance about how I had to learn that. But you're the resources person. You're the one that makes sure that the policies are in place for the basic blocking and tackling, the foundations of what makes us successful as maintainers are in place. Okay? Making sure there's a strong quality program. Making sure that folks are doing their jobs safely. Doing it by the book. Documenting maintenance. All of those basic things. Just because you learned it here in AMOC and then you said, that's not the real world, let me go out in the real world, it still applies, folks. I still talked about the same thing as a group commander and a wing commander. That's why it's called blocking and tackling. It's fundamentals. It's so important what we do. And that's what you need to do in your office. Let's focus on that. And then build from there. Okay? But you're the enabler. You're the officer. You get what your troops need to get their job done. That's another focus area. The tools, the supplies. Quality of life for a maintainer is arts in hand to do the job. And that's part of your job, is to figure out how to get that working. Okay. Basic exercises. But it's hard. It's challenging work. So what do I need from you? I need you to be a tactical expert. I need you to emphasize the fundamentals. And I need you to lead them well. Motivate them. Make sure those airmen understand why they're doing what they're doing is important to the country. Is that fair enough? You all live up to that? Thanks again for having me here today. It's always great coming back to Shepherd. My 2 years here as a vice commander several years ago were one of the highlights of my career. Because I got to see young airmen on the front side of their careers. And I got to interact with the AITs and the young officers like y'all. Not all of them are young. But you're still motivated. It really glues you, right? But it is. It's a great environment to be in, and I love coming back. I want to thank all of you again, and our coalition partners, for raising your hands to serve our nation. Such a small percentage now getting here. Thank you for the sacrifices you've made and will make in the future serving this nation alongside these officers. So I appreciate your time, and I think now it's time to put graduate certificates in hand and maintenance badges on chest. Thank y'all very much.
From RAF Lakenheath, United Kingdom, Second Lieutenant Andrew Westfall. From Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico, Second Lieutenant Andrew Wood. Today we will conclude our ceremony with the Air Force song. Afterward, please join us in congratulating our graduates and thank you for attending today's ceremony. Thank you.